This is the Business Briefcase Podcast, heard exclusively at loandesk.com.au. Hear business financing tips and interviews to grow your business.
Okay, welcome to the Business Briefcase Podcast, brought to you by loandesk.com.au. This is podcast number 7 in the series, and we're going to be discussing the topic, how to reinvent a bookkeeping business and grow it nationally. Today, I'm lucky enough to have with me Noel Tiufino. He's the Director and Head of Business Development at MyAccounts. Basically, Noel oversees the business development at MyAccounts. He's been with the company since 2007, and interestingly, he has studied psychology. So thanks for joining me today, Noel.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Great, Noel. So, I mean, one of the perception in the industry has always been bookkeeping. You know, come on, it's not the most glamorous and exciting topic you could ever imagine. But somehow or other, MyAccounts has seemed to, I guess, change that perception.
Yeah, well, from the start, so Simon Allsop started the company in about 2006. It did start as a quality thing initially. So he was at KPMG and getting the accounting files from the small businesses that he was dealing with. The quality was just wasn't there. So It really did start off from a quality point of view. We wanted to start a bookkeeping company that was the best, that just got the files to the accountants and in a clean state that made sense and that had notes, and it was just professional.
Yeah.
So it really started from there. And I guess all the things that you would say progressive and all the things that have separated us have almost just come from the journey and finding our identity and then pushing forward with that.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So Simon is a registered accountant, isn't he? Yeah, and he's an accountant
that's right.
Sort of, I guess from an accountant's point of view, he's taken a different approach and he's gone into bookkeeping rather than going completely down that accountant's path. And like you said, I'm guessing it's because he saw the gap or the need there. Yeah, well, that's pretty interesting. And I mean, one thing that we're going to go into all the facets that that have changed the way that the way that you guys do things in terms of changing the perception of bookkeeping within your group. But one thing that resonates with me, and I mean, I obviously deal with you guys on a regular basis, but as soon as you walk in the door of your office, it doesn't feel like a bookkeeping company at all.
Yeah,
it's quite bizarre. You walk in, it's got this open plan feel. It's got bouncy balls. It's got a pool table, beach balls. You've got this pretty cool grassed area where it's like a breakout area for the staff, and a bit of a waiting area there. So that's really interesting that you've taken that tact. But I guess what we want to know is how you've done it, why you did it, and why in this repetitive industry is it more about just giving bookkeeping services these days, or is it something more?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more than that these days, both at the bookkeeping level and even in the accountants, which I guess we'll touch on later. But in terms of how we kind of got to the whole AstroTurf in the office kind of thing. When we started the company, we wanted degree qualified accountants to do bookkeeping, and that was because of the quality. We just wanted that quality. We wanted that base level understanding of the accounting fundamentals.
Yep.
What we found when we started putting job ads out is that we had a really cool subset of accountants applying, and then they were younger, and we loved that. It added a vibrancy and an energy to the company. And because of that, we obviously wanted to create an environment that encouraged it. We wanted their personality to shine through because they deal with clients every day. They're not sitting in our office all the time. They're actually out there seeing people. So the more dynamic, the more colourful, the better, and the more energetic they are, the better the accountants they are for us. So it just made sense to align all of our values and align everything that we do with that and build our personality and identity from there.
Yeah, so I guess for our listeners, I mean, if you're a business owner doing what you guys are doing, I mean, is that, I guess it's trying to relate to your customers more, isn't it?
Exactly.
Trying to make them feel that, you're on the same level. Yeah. You're not walking in a stiff suit with a cardigan on, maybe.
That's right.
Although I have seen Simon, your founder, in a cardigan.
Well, it's a very nice cardigan.
It's a very nice cardigan.
Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to model my dress sense off that.
Yeah.
So, look, from attracting I know we probably just went over that slightly, but going back to attracting staff, I mean, I guess one of the things that people like to think is, what perception do you put out there in the market? But, putting perception out there is one thing. You attract staff based on perception, but how important has it been for MyAccounts, like in terms of actually implementing that real culture so that once that staff member comes on, they're not let down?
Yeah, absolutely. It's 50% of my roles actually. So I'm head of business development, but I also do a lot of HR. So that's what I'm responsible for as well. Every person we've ever had at MyAccounts, the thing that's been so crucial to them has been training and education. They've always wanted more training and further education, and that's been brought up in every review and every meeting we've had. They just always want more. And again, that's to do with their energy levels and just wanting to take as much as they can in the good way from the experience of working at MyAccounts. So in terms of attracting them, one of our biggest things is a focus on education. So as part of their package, we allow for training, not just on accounting but other things. I mean, if they wanted to do a course on on public speaking, or they wanted to do a course on management and human resources or anything like that, we're more than happy to do that. An example of someone in our office is we had Maria, was one of our accountants at the time. She just showed an aptitude for management and organisation, and now she's our operations manager and oversees oversees a lot of the operations, obviously, but keeps Simon and I in check when we're kind of off running around and doing the things. So
but how do you get that buy-in from staff? Like, there's obviously a lot of time that, you get your business up and running, you want to have all this culture and everything, and you want to, create the best experience for you. But how do you get the staff to buy into it? Or, I don't know, the fancy one is, take ownership.
Yeah. Look, I read a lot of books, not wanting to, quote someone directly.
Yeah.
But Daniel Pink, in his book, Drive, he talks about 3 points that, that help engage employees of a certain level. So that's autonomy, mastery, and purpose.
Right.
So that they, it's particularly in this generation and the younger accountants coming through, they want the ability to feel like they're always learning, that they're becoming a master at their trade. They want to feel like they've got control over some aspect of the role, that they're not just a cog. That say they have a bit of creative control or creative influence over the process or what they're doing, and also a purpose greater than themselves. Yeah.
So letting your staff, sometimes letting them off the leash a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Going, well, instead of micromanaging them so heavy, let them go off and do the task and then come back to them. That's I mean, the work-life culture is pretty heavy. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, the other big thing is probably just not treating them like not doing cookie cutter, and just accepting that because of the way that we are as a company, we're attracting these kind of staff. They're not all the same. Yeah. So you got to listen to their individual needs to manage them and keep them. Because you might think what works for one employee isn't always the same for another.
That's right. Yeah. So you really got to take an active role in showing real, true, I guess, interest in your staff as well.
Yeah.
So how do you, as well, like in a bookkeeping firm or any business really, you've got these roles which are low-level roles, right? Yep. And they're administrative roles. I mean, you guys, I'm assuming you've got this, but how do you incentivize for career progression? What do you put in place?
Yeah, so we've got levels within our company itself. So we do a lot of training, and we do push and want them to rise up through our internal ladder, for lack of a better word, and to move forward from there. But as you said, they love the culture. So when that's presented, that is they do want that. And I mean, if you're doing right by them, of course they want to stay and progress in one company as opposed to go out and try and slog it out at different heaps of different other companies because they want to move up.
Just another point which I've noticed about you guys. I mean, how important is it for a business owner to, I guess, always be on when they walk into the office? I mean, in terms of leading by example, I mean, can you walk into the office and have a frowny face, or do you always have to feel like you're on? Do you feel like that?
I do. I am conscious of that. I do want to put out the best vibe, particularly a positive vibe. of course, there are times when you're dealing with something that's frustrating, and sometimes you can't help in an open plan office but be frustrated. But they understand that, and we understand when they're frustrated as well. I mean, we're all human. I guess there's just a level of consistency and understanding between each people. I think they understand my work habits. I understand theirs. And if anything was to deviate, I think that's when a problem would occur. So if I was consistently upset for a week, then obviously that something would be wrong there. But like I said, we really encourage personality. We want people, to be expressing themselves. And I mean, I'm a pretty talkative, loud person, so I'm typically the distractor in the office, not necessarily them to each other. I'm the one that would normally go over them and say, "Hey, let's play table tennis" or something.
And it's passion as well. I mean, you're showing a passion for what you're doing, and that's important for any of the business people listening now. And that is, people like to feel like they're on a journey somewhere, or the business is on a journey, or their boss is on a journey. They feel like they've got that driving force behind them. So you never want to see that stalemate, do you?
Nah.
You want to feel like there's some sort of growth happening.
I think one of the biggest things is, especially now, is authenticity, and if the people in the Gen Y and younger, they have just got an innate sense of authenticity. They know if you're doing something because it should be done, as opposed to you want to do it, or so just being real, and that's something we really want everyone in our
a collaborative effort
just
as
be
well.
Massively real.
The other thing, one real important topic I want to touch on, and not every business owner's got the time for this, and there comes a point and a time in your growth cycle where, and this is a scary thing that people probably find daunting, and that is going outside of the business and showing the world, or trying to create new education and trying to hold talks or give public speaking, and that exposes your company, doesn't it? But on the flip side, it can make you look very strong and like the expert in your industry. And seeing what you guys have been doing, and you run these boot camps, and the other week I saw you at Reckon talking about accounting firms and all that. What's been the driving force behind you doing that?
We're against the hoarding of information, and the kind of the selling of information and that kind of thing. We believe in free information. We believe that our clients are smart. They know what they want, and with the rise of Wikipedia and YouTube, and just I guess the internet in general, information is just so readily accessible. So is information itself the motivating factor for someone wanting to come to seminar? Not necessarily. It's the organisation, the presentation of that information in a way that is relevant to them. So just to create an environment where they can learn something specific to what they want, that's organised for them and irrelevant to exactly what they do, is really enticing for them. But the other really big reason why we want to do boot camps and seminars is we actually just want to get in front of them as often as we can to build relationship. We're massive on relationship.
So it's a really good marketing tool, isn't it, as well? Getting out there, getting in front of people, keeping them engaged in your service. I mean, is it difficult to organise these things? How hard is it to get something in place and consistently and doing it regularly? It's what's it take?
There definitely is effort involved. What we're lucky to have organised and have is partnerships with other people who are other companies who are able to help. So working with say the banks like NAB or Macquarie Bank even, they've been able to help us put on a lot of these functions. But we also always partner with someone outside of accounting, in the bootcamp specifically, to present. So just to really cover off on the amount of information and value that a client or anyone visiting can get from the. So if we're speaking about speeding up your cash flow, the last time we had a social media expert, Michael Simonetti from a company called Mine, he came in and just gave his thoughts on the trends for 2014 and 15, and it was really good. And if you came to learn about accounting, you'd definitely learn about the social media and vice versa. So just the value that we're trying to give to the attendees.
It's a good point, that, because I always feel like I go to these things and they've got like you said, a social media expert, and you think, geez, I know what social media is. Come on, la 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 la. But then you sit there and you listen to it, and you think, actually, I did need reminding of that. I do need to be doing these things, even though I thought I knew it. I've now been reminded, and hey, guess what? Everyone else is doing it. So if I don't start doing it, then there's something missing. Because social media now, isn't it? It's not just, I need to be doing social media. It's a new pillar that you need to be taking care of in your vertical.
I mean, even like, at a fairly subconscious level, it just reminds the person in the seminar, in the boot camp, that it's not just about accounting. It's, you got to have your focus, and you got to, do the right things with your cash flow and all that kind of thing.
Yep.
But there's other things to your business as well. There's also the marketing. There's also the people.
Yeah. So key point, just taking away from what we're just talking about, is stepping outside, creating all these new education, like running boot camps, running seminars, or at least if you're a business owner, just try and get some kind of speaking engagement or offer up your service to your local chamber of commerce or whatever, and get out there and show people that you really know what you're talking about now, because
thought leadership.
That's right, thought leadership, because these days you can't just go and put an advertisement out and expect people to come, because everyone's doing that same thing. You need to show people, at least in your local area, that you know what you're doing as a small, an SME, especially. Going back to your talk you gave at Reckon the other week, accountants, and this goes outside of, obviously, no, it doesn't go outside of what you're doing, but in terms of accountants now, we'll just quickly touch on, the accountants have always been about compliance. You hear accountants saying, I give all these value-add services, yada, yada, yada. What are they trying to do, and what do you think's important there for an accountant, or what do you think makes a good accountant, just quickly? Sure. So good accountants can definitely lodge your return and minimize tax and structure your assets in a way where you're protected. That's definitely a good accountant. A great accountant is one that really understands your business and partners with you, in my opinion. So they have a vested interest in the growth of your business, which all accountants should. It sounds so simple, but obviously, the better the business does, the better the accountant's fees would be, for as direct as that is. But the relationship is the most important factor, I think, now in the success of an accounting firm's service. So we've gone for we've seen accountants the client visit the accountant once a year for their end of year, and the occasional phone call if they're going to purchase a car. What's the best way to do it or whatever. But now we're really seeing the accountant calling the client and booking in, say, like quarterly meetings, and sitting down with the live accounting file and going, how are you looking this quarter? How can we pre-plan your tax? And it's really good to see. If you're not getting that from accounting, you really should be. That's the accountants that we work with now, that we refer work from and get referrals from. That is almost the standard now. That's a key point, because you guys would see that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because you work with accountants really closely, and they're exposed. Like, you guys know which accountants are good and which aren't, right? And you can see the traits of the bad ones and the ones, I mean, I'd even go to say, people think, a great accountant is someone who responds to your emails really quickly.
Yeah. Communication is the biggest complaint.
Yeah. Just that one little thing that you need to do. Yeah. Just respond to an email. That's all you got to do.
And don't charge for it.
And that's right. Don't charge for every single thing, because your client or customer at the end of the day is just going to think you're gouging them.
That's right.
We're here for the long term, yada, yada, all those sort of things. So
the frequency of visit, it's so crucial. And again, like, the more face-to-face interaction they have, the better the stickiness of their relationship, and you just grow together, and I think it's a really good relationship. Yeah,
cool. Let's just move on from there now. So, one thing that's been really good to see, and in my mind, and I'm sure this is the perception of a lot of people as well, a bookkeeping or bookkeeper is just, I guess the thing, they're just a little, some person that comes in occasionally, they just fluff around, you see them occasionally, whatever. I mean, are there lots of large, big bookkeeping firms around like you? I've only ever really seen yourself, and do they exist? Are they evolving? Is the industry evolving?
Yeah, as a like for like, we're starting to see them come out now, but historically, no, there hasn't really been a firm. And by firm, I mean the bookkeepers are employed, and they have management, and we're basically set up exactly like an accounting firm. We just focus on bookkeeping. in the past, the competition has been franchises. Say you're like, first class accounts or books on site. They have been the greater competition. However, when you break it down, they're still a contractor basically, or a sole trader. So we're starting to see some of them come up now, and it is good to see the quality is increasing, and it is thanks in part to the proliferation of things like Xero and those and that kind of thing.
Cloud stuff,
and educating the market on that.
So that, just going back to that point, and that's a point I want to make, is you just said that bookkeepers were part of these independent sort of groups, right? They were just one person part of, but they really ran independently.
Yes.
So, you guys have been able to grow nationally.
Yeah.
From one head office, effectively.
Yes.
I mean, what's been the challenge of going interstate? I mean, I see you across the whole eastern seaboard now. That's impressive. Well, how have you done? Like, how do you keep control of these people that are interstate?
It's systems and process. As boring as that answer is, we've got, like I said, because of the structure that we've created at the company, we've got oversight. So there's, every bookkeeper has a vice captain and a team leader that they can reference to when they need support, or even fill in if they have a sick day or anything like that. So there's that. So there's accountability, there's support, and
sounds like you're running it like a sports team.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Captain, the vice captain, they fill in.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
Sub in, they sub out.
Yeah, that's it. It's a Powerade on. Yeah, it's in the fridge.
Yep.
But in terms of the what you mentioned before with differences or difficulties, I wouldn't say difficulty, but it has been interesting expanding to different cities and setting up offices there, and just feeling there is different cultures in each state in the businesses, and just making sure that the company aligns with and understands businesses there, so you can never impose your set, or I don't believe in imposing your set of rules, for lack of a better word, on a new breaking in. So if they say, do you mind working this way or that way, and then we end up realizing that that's the way that most people in that area work, and that's the way we're going to work. So we're adaptable and flexible in that.
So how do you collaborate with your interstate staff? How do you do that?
Yeah, so in terms of like formal meetings, we do a weekly team meeting over Skype. I visit them quite regularly, and so do the team leaders here in Sydney. So there's a combination of face-to-face technology with Skype, and also we're literally on the phone and emails every day to each other, every day with every interstate person. So it would feel like that the head office might as well be in whatever capital city that they're in that.
And that's using technology, right?
Correct. And just we're just connected, and just always in contact. So if they're on site with the client and they're still getting calls from myself and the team leader, it's not going to feel any different to if they were on site at a client in Sydney. So
you've got to create a process that uniformly they can stick to interstate, so you can obviously stay in contact all the time. They feel like they're following a process, because one thing you'll notice we see with business owners, they try to expand nationally and they fail, right?
Yeah.
They expand too quickly, or they put someone interstate, they hire them, but they check in on them once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You can't check in.
No way. Yeah, the biggest, like in meetings with them in with reviews and feedback is support. Yeah, they always want support, which is exactly what.
Because otherwise, you don't feel part of the team, do you?
Exactly right.
They sort of feel like they're disconnected from the company, even though they are employed by you. They're still, they're not getting buy-in and all that. They're not feeling part of it if you're not readily available to.
Yeah. So, for example, we did a leadership retreat about a month and a half ago now for the managers, and we flew up, one person from each state, and so there was definitely buy-in from all of the interstates, and that was a really crucial and important meeting.
Yeah, so that's another good takeaway from what you guys are doing in terms of this whole new way of running this seemingly repetitive industry, which has been really good. Look, Noel, I think that's a wrap for today. Yep. Thanks very much for coming in. Look, that's number 7 in the podcast. Next week we'll be going back to business loans and giving you some more updates there. We just want to thank Noel Tiufino from MyAccounts.com.au. You can catch him online. Get involved if you're a small business owner. Give him a try out. And just remember, if you're dealing with your accountant, like Noel said, and you're not getting any love from them, you're probably better off even at least giving Noel a tinkle and asking which accountant might be able to help you out.
I'd love to.
Yeah. So thanks again, Noel. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks
Cheers.
for having me.
Thanks for listening.